So I guess we can go ahead and start with the first one.
This is kind of like showing me, I want to see what it looks like before I have any preconceived
Is
ideas.
this one you've seen before? Or do you want to do the one that Derek's here for first?
Oh, that's fine.
I'll go back. Derek, you're here for this one, right?
Yes.
Did you want to tell the committee what you're planning?
Yeah, just a 40 by 60 or 40 by 80 pole frame structure on my property for kind of like a dog training facility.
What's
Yes.
currently being done there in the land where you're gonna be building?
Just clearing out like bushes and stuff.
Yeah, you had no farming on that parcel, right?
No.
I don't think so.
There's not a lot of farming in Smith Road all the way through,
Yeah,
except
think
for on the top north.
this one was one of those either proximity or that it was adjacent to ag district parcel, which, as we all know, doesn't always mean there's farming, but
So
Can you enlarge that?
Yep.
I'm having a hard time. 50% is
Yes.
kind of tough.
So some of these are challenging.
what is there currently on the property? Any buildings now?
No, just the single family dwelling on the other side there. It's marked in the site plan.
Yep.
What kind of dogs are you gonna train?
All of them. Anybody who needs it.
Okay, I see no impact on farmland.
I second that one.
So all in favor, there's no impact on farmland.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Well, we wish you luck with your building and dog training.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Does he understand that, ours isn't a final decision, it's only a
Yeah.
recommendation?
Yeah, I know that. I have other meetings coming up. I understand.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Well, still good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Do you have any other questions for me, or are you guys all set?
No,
I think we're all
we're
set.
set.
We're set.
You have
All
a
right.
good
Yep,
you.
you too. Thanks.
Center Point Road.
now you got 4.
Sarah, did you want to talk about this one?
This is the same application that you guys have seen previously, in previous iterations. The property, butts up to Barnes Gully, west and up the hill from Ananda Park. They are currently coming through with, an application to subdivide parcel with future plans to do what ends up being defined in our code as a campground, but it's not going to look exactly like a campground in the traditional sense. I think they're proposing some small, very, very basic cabins with a lodge that could be rented and used like a community building on the largest parcel, and then the other 2 smaller parcels are going to remain residential. But this, right now, they're just coming to the planning board for subdivision. They're not actually ready for site plan yet.
So there, in the picture or in the image here, there seems to be a pond. Where is that one in reference? Just to understand how that position.
This is the one that's.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Now I get it.
They're adding this one.
Yeah,
So-
and then so Kim do they have a map that just shows the subdivision? Without the proposed site improvements?
I think that is.
Okay, so really for this committee's purpose, this is really what you're looking at right now, knowing that in the future they'd like to eventually build out some
How are
sort
they
of.
planning to access the, so if they subdivide that, especially the piece there to the right, there will not be access from the road.
It's going to be, and on this map, it's hard to see, which is probably why Kim had it on the next map. They're going to build an access shared driveway. And so code requires that there be access, and so there'll be an easement in place for that proposed lot 2, which is the one to the right of that road. Without the road, yes, you're right, it would be landlocked, but that road, they're only gonna have approval if there's an easement in place, which they're proposing for that
So-
road. So it'd be shared road with all 3 of the parcels.
To the north, there is open field. It looks like it was at some point, at least when the satellite picture was taken, it seems to be hay right north of that, but I doesn't. There is a big
That's
hedgerow
the
in there.
field with the beautiful view of the lake, looking down across the.
I've never been
fields.
there.
No, I think that I think this one in particular has a fair amount of forest in between the view and the lake. I think the one that you're thinking is in this corner down here.
Yeah, if that land ever came up for sale. Can you show it to us?
It's loading.
And there's a lot of trees right there in that area. I don't think that that's been farmed. It just looks mowed grass.
I don't think
Yeah.
There's much farming in that
I-
area.
I don't think that this interferes with farmlands. I think it's more a matter of for the committee on views, as you're saying.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Through that area.
I am concerned about the subdivision with just an easement to the road, but that's.
It's allowed by town code. I mean, it's an actual recorded easement with, language. The county will have it recorded, so it'll provide legal access for that road. Once they file that, and the planning board won't approve the subdivision without that piece.
But they don't have to make the road before it can be subdivided.
So with bigger
The
view,
easement has to be there, because they're not proposing to actually do any of the
just curious.
site
So it's-
development right now. They're gonna come back with a
There,
site
that
plan application later.
Where the cursor is.
And right now, that future site plan application is gonna be a private home on that one lot, the smaller square dog lot, and then that venture campground on the big lot. The other lot up closer to the road is already developed, and that's not gonna change.
From a big picture point of view. Never mind, that's. Too obvious.
I say that there is no impact on agricultural land.
Is there any impact on anybody else in the area? Is there farming at all?
I think it's just proximity. There's
Yeah,
farming
just north of
nearby.
them, it looks like they farm it, but there is no access through it. There is nothing. There is a big hedge road in there.
Sure,
So it does look like it's fairly independent of whatever they are doing.
okay.
This looks like a pasture.
Yeah,
It looks like there is fencing for pasture right north of it.
okay.
And there's the Maple
No
people
one is farmed.
Rocky Ridge.
tap behind it, I think.
I kind of got to the meeting a touch late here, just to reiterate. The area you have highlighted in yellow. So it looks like there's farmable acreage there on the right. How much of this do they want to build these campsites on?
Right now, they don't have, and they're not really coming through for application to build the campsites. That's what they plan to do in the future. So right now, they just want to divide the land. But to answer the question, it's going to be. Kim, you wanna show him that map real quick, just so he can see it too? I don't think you were on yet when we had this map up before, Tim. So the area that was highlighted in yellow on that previous screen is the whole area on that whole map sheet in front of you, so it doesn't show the vegetation, so it's kind of hard to see, but the future proposed campsite will be kind of right there in the middle.
Right in the middle. So does
And
that mean,
then, do you see that on your screen?
I can see the white blueprint.
Yeah, so those little, there's like a road that kind of comes around the top and south into the middle of the parcel. And then ends with a building and a parking lot and 4 little rectangles. Those 4 rectangles are gonna be little cabins, primitive cabins, and then a lodge with the parking area. And a driveway to access it, but again, they're not doing that yet. They're
Okay.
just for subdivision approval. So the subdivision is, they wanna take the whole big parent parcel, which was the whole big yellow highlighted area on the other screen, and divide it into 3 lots. The one big one will be where the future campground would be, and then 2 smaller lots, one right up on State Route 21 and another one set back a bit. Accessible by their proposed road, and both of those smaller lots are residential. One has 2 houses on it already that have already been there for a long time, and then one they would propose to be building on in the future.
And did somebody mention there's maple syrup there, maple operation in some of the
Nearby, not on that parcel. Rocky
Okay,
Maple taps trees behind it, I think, on Dennis Money's land. At least they used to, and then their parcel may actually touch it on the north.
okay,
But this wouldn't have impact on that.
okay.
I think it's just because it's nearby. It's worth mentioning.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wish I could see this overlapped on the other map somehow. That would give me a
It's
little.
tough, but I mean, my best estimate is that the small parcel is gonna be right on the block of trees that they have right now on
I've seen places like this and they turn out to be wedding venues. So they kind of preserve the land, pretty well,
Yeah.
and with nothing really substantial being built on it. And there really isn't any farmland being impacted in the area, as far as I can see.
how do you access these fields? Because I cannot figure out in here. How are
There
you
is an
coming to-
existing
Yeah. that's
access
true.
point south of the existing homes on State Route 21. But I don't know how far in that comes. I think there's also like
That's Seneca Point Road, because 21 is.
or not
farther.
21, I'm sorry, Seneca Point.
We could ask the question, since, this is just for subdivision and it's probably gonna come back to us sometime in the
If they do
future.
site plan, yeah,
For site
you'll
plan.
get it again.
Yeah, so let's ask the question, we see that this might impact the access to a farm field.
To the fields, to the.
But I
directly
don't
to the
believe
east.
that they're farming it.
Yeah,
Use-
usually in the, in that, paper. In the application, it says if it's farmed or not, correct?
It usually does, and the last time you guys saw this, I think they didn't really answer it very well.
That would be the other question that we could ask is the land, what is the use of the land in the immediate adjacent areas that are directly in contact with the property that's being proposed to be subdivided.
This application is old enough that they didn't have the data statement as a part of it. And I think when they submitted it, the first iteration of it, it wasn't great.
we'd like to know that. What do you gentlemen think?
You can,
We can ask, I just don't think there's gonna be much of an impact.
And they did list Rocky Ridge as being within 500
so
feet.
let's,
That's
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
why it's here.
other than that, other than access to this big one in here, there is no reason that it will affect anything. But I cannot figure out where the access to this field is from the pictures.
Unless they go through the woods or something, which is possible.
Not with a 20-foot equipment, if you wanna do anything
Need a big
efficient.
path.
What were you asking about? I'm sorry, I didn't know.
What is the access point to the fields to the east? And
Okay.
is it being actively farmed?
Okay,
Yeah, we can ask some questions, like Tim said, it's gonna come back anyway, probably, so we don't have to.
And then what is the use of the land that's to the east as well? Is it currently being farmed? Or is it historically been farmed? Will it impact that farmer? If they lose access to that particular piece of parcel? If this is, blocked out.
Beyond that, I make the motion to say that there is no, other than access to adjacent fields, there is no
Right.
potential loss of
I
agriculture.
don't think we have enough information yet to go ahead and make that, I mean,
Okay.
their application could have been more thorough.
If it's gonna come back anyway, I would say we might as well not vote on it,
Yeah,
and just to send the questions back.
I agree.
How many acres again? Is that parcel?
74.
74.
It's.
And
it
how
sounds fun.
how many acres of that? Do we assume they'd want to put this camp on if, yeah, on that white blueprint there, how many acres would this be taking up?
74 minus 3, what's the lot?
read it. I can go to the application.
That, I thought I saw the lot 3 was,
Oh, okay.
lot 2 was 3 acres. So it's, what's that, maybe another. maybe
Lot
5.
3,
I was gonna say 5.
Yeah.
60
it's-
something odd acres on the large lot after subdivision. 60 something.
It's 67.02 or 0.1232.
And how many acres of it is being farmed right now?
None.
None of it.
None.
Either none or we don't know. It's not.
Okay,
We don't know.
because what was highlighted in that yellow looked like a maintained field on the right. On the right of those woods, it looked like it was,
Yeah. I don't know. And that image is from 2021.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, like all this over here on the right,
Yeah.
which I assume that would be east.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to the right, that looks like a maintained farm field right there.
With drainage.
Yeah, yeah. So if they were to build those campsites there, that would be a loss of farmland.
So if you look at the subdivision map or the map with what they're showing in the future, it's
Yep.
not over on the right hand side. But also remember what you guys are looking at is really just the subdivision itself. They aren't seeking site plan approval right now. They just have everything all together on the same plan set.
Okay. I think it still would be kind of interesting if you did. I'd be able to envision this a little more if you could overlay this image somehow on that other map.
Actually, ECB had the same comment. They wanted to know the tree line.
So when they come for site plan has to show existing vegetation and proposed. And the subdivision map, does that have that?
Not usually, I don't think.
Well, it's required.
What's it?
Can you
No, it
show
is.
us the subdivision now? Maybe. If it'll load, sorry,
No,
everything's
it's
slow.
the big document.
It does say. There's text saying. Loosely what's there.
Tim, if it's okay with you, we're just gonna ask the questions about what's the use of the land to the east? And will this prevent access to farmland if it is being farmed?
That sounds good. So we'll get more information.
That's it, because we don't have enough right now.
I like that. Well, get some more details from them.
It's good.
And Kim and I have notes, and I have a note that, it would be nice if they more clearly show vegetation, existing vegetation on the maps.
So then once we get more details and information, we'll discuss more and make a vote then.
So what is the purpose of graying out parts of this land? Is it due to steepness? It seems like the elevation lines come together pretty tightly. through-
So down the southern border of this parcel is Barnes Creek.
That's right, there we go.
So yes, it is steep down there. Barnes Creek is the one that goes down to Amanda Park.
And so the wooded area, if you did take that other map and you overlaid it, you would see that the areas that are grayed out are wooded and
Isn't that where
are
those hikers got
not
stuck during
farmable.
the big rainstorm?
Hmm.
Isn't that where those hikers got stuck during the big rainstorm last?
In Amanda Park. Which is further to the east. Yeah.
But there's a lot of trees that are not in the grace area. It'll be nice to know exactly where they are.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm just making assumptions, you know.
But we don't need to, we can ask.
Let's ask.
So we're all set on that? one?
Yep.
Okay.
It does show. Agricultural field cover is this area outside of the little wiggly line, and inside it says wooded area. So they do have a vegetation mark, and then this says tree line. It's just hard to see on here in the. And then this one says grass area. And I know, Tim, you're not here, you can't see what I'm pointing at. but-
Oh, here, this was the agricultural cover.
And then this is the outline of the wooded areas.
So then that is farmed land with agricultural cover.
Whatever that means, they haven't told us.
We'll find out if we ask.
What is the agricultural activity?
I got the feeling the last time we talked to them, there wasn't, but, we'll find out. Cause I remember this is what you guys said last time, and there was no new information about that provided.
We'll ask again.
Ready to move on?
One more or two more?
Just don't look forward. This one's pretty simple.
You see this one before too, I think, or no?
I think it was on your last month's agenda. then
Oh, we
have a
looked
meeting.
at it, but we didn't,
That is already a
We skipped last
big
month. though.
building, right?
Correct.
so I think the last time though, we might have looked at it. The last time we were together, I think we looked at it quickly.
Okay.
Maybe not. No, I guess not.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
all.
yeah, that means a lot to me.
This might, do you wanna pull it up on Encore? It might make a little more sense for them.
Right in between the bus garage and the airport.
Oh, that's not farmland at all. That's scrub brush.
Well, there is.
Well, so there's a building already on the site. What they're doing is, renovating the inside. The company that makes a lot of sausages and dried processed meats like salamis and stuff that you can buy at Wegmans, Artisan Meats, and it's sold under the Wegmans label. They have an existing facility on Brickyard Road, corner of Brickyard and North Street.
There's a sign there that says, don't turn around here.
Yeah, they want to expand. And so there's an existing facility just north of there and to the east a little bit on Airport Road that they've purchased. And they're
Sep-
already doing work inside the building. They've
Yeah.
already got permits to do some renovations. What they need to come to the planning board for is they're gonna do some site work outside. They're gonna do some new water lines and stuff. They also are going to do for fire code, like a sidewalk.
You're gonna build a generator.
All the way around the outside. Yep, they're gonna put some equipment, generator in, so. That's why they're coming through planning board, but not a whole lot of new work outside. It's
Why is this coming to us? What's the impact?
proximity, I
upon-
Yeah.
think somebody has an ag district nearby, probably.
I was wondering what they were, it looked like somebody was doing some kind of renovation or construction in that
Took
building.
over that
So,
building,
saw
yeah.
a bunch of stuff outside.
Yeah, so there's,
So
Yeah.
where again do these folks want to expand to?
Right
So
here.
I see in the yellow that property, where do they want, where exactly in here do they want to expand?
this is where
That-
they're
that area.
expanding to.
So they
Immediately
are
around
moving
this
into that building, they just have to
Oh.
make renovations for the building to be suitable for them.
Okay. All right, so they're moving into the build, they're not looking to say clear something and build another building?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
So I make a motion that this does not interfere with agricultural land.
Second. All in favor that there's no impact, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
As a matter of fact, this is the best place where this type
It's
of
perfect, yeah.
construction.
It is a
should
good
be
spot.
in the area.
There's some other empty,
Buildings right
Buildings on
there,
that road too, right?
Further down, yeah.
well, it's good, to make use of one that's already there.
Mhm. Yeah, for years they were trying to figure out how to expand on their existing property down on the corner of Brickyard and North. I
They
keep
just
wanting
don't
to
have
call it
enough
North.
room there.
The parcel was just awkward and long and skinny and there really just wasn't room for them. So when that one came available, they just said, well, it's nearby. Still serve the purpose.
What was that building?
I don't remember, do you know?
It was some kind of, it might have been that badge plate, or they did displays for all over the whole country, but I think COVID kind of put them under.
What's the address on this one, Kim?
Fallbrook Park.
No, this is New Michigan Road. This is Dave Emery's daughter's site plan.
000.
Yeah. 000. Yeah.
So
got it.
you guys saw this come through when they came in to subdivide the parcel. And now they're coming back for site plan.
Here's the pond where the goats are for reference.
Awesome. Those goats are a landmark.
I look at them all the time.
What did we say last time about this?
It had been farmed previously, but he was not farming it at the time that he came in for subdivision approval.
Basically, this is going on, they're going to build for a family member,
Yes, I think,
so there is, what do they call that, where you have a continuation plan,
Succession.
succession plan? Basically, this supports agriculture by having a succession plan and having somebody build with, continue with the operation.
This is the one. Yes. Last time. This was your recommendations.
It's really a good recommendation. really states it because it's not being used right now. It could be used, but it's not being used. And it is agricultural land.
I think there are comments to stay,
Yeah, we can just reuse the same comments.
comments stand, no change to them.
It's an easy.
That case.
So what? So I believe I missed out when this was brought up before. So what exactly are these property owners wanting to do?
Build a
He's
house.
building, his daughter's building a house.
Okay. That's just what it looked like. Quick that I saw there. So how many acres would that be? Taking up the house and what that looks like the leach field?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
I don't know what the actual acres of disturbance is. I'm sure that's in the application somewhere.
Probably says it on here, but I'm not gonna be able to see it.
It looks like about 3 to 5 acres.
And there's not a lot of that that's farmed there anymore.
okay. That's New Michigan Road, right?
Right.
Yes.
It's right in front of Town Line, right, road. right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
far north
Oh,
of it.
but south of that.
It's usually
Well, yeah, I know that.
grown up to grass and stuff.
I think it used to be farm, but when they came in to subdivide the parcel a couple months ago, at that time, he said it hadn't been farmed. So like your comments before, what the committee said, it was farmland, so technically it's a loss, but it was not currently productive farmland. And wasn't planned to be farmed.
I think he just mows it. It's like,
Yep.
by. For the goats eat it. The other.
If they get out.
Who was the last producer to work that land to farm it?
He did, Dave Emery.
Okay. And then
The owner.
Okay,
Think that changes anything for us on that one.
No.
I feel like your comments are probably the same as when you saw it as a subdivision, because you knew this was the intent.
Right.
This is a recurring pattern for this group. You know, you're gonna see stuff multiple
Yep.
times. You get to see it through all the iterations of application.
I think that was the last one.
Is that 4?
Yeah, that you have talked about 4.
What else?
Anything else?
I have a couple things for you guys, just kind of a beginning of the year stuff. With this being your first meeting of the year and it's after the town board's organizational meeting. Samantha's term, when she was brought in, she was filling an unexpired term, but it expired on the 31st, of December. So her new term started January 1st and she's good till 2028. And she was the only person on the committee who had a term expiring. I know you had said that you might not want to stay on as chairman long-term, but for now, without another person, your name was just still on the.
I think you got put on as.
Officially, you are chairman, but I know maybe that's a conversation in the group, if you don't want to stay.
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about that tonight or
Succession.
sometime.
Planning, yeah.
So my role and responsibilities are increasing on the farm and there's other stuff that I'm involved in and I've just gotta. I think there's other things that like time would be spent better on for agriculture, so. Just try to,
Are you leaving the committee or?
well, I don't wanna. I think at some point, yes, but I don't wanna just leave everybody hanging like that either, so I think we need to come up with a plan for chairperson and hopefully get someone else on the committee.
We can just add it as an agenda item for the next meeting and just force a vote. pick somebody, and then the town board, we would just prepare a resolution for you guys at the
Yeah.
board to.
Right.
To appoint the
You
new
could ju-
chair.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Cause the board has to appoint the chairman, but it doesn't mean it can't change at any time throughout the year.
Okay.
So we left your name on just,
Well, yeah,
To
that's
have a
fine. I
name.
hadn't said it.
knowing in my mind that you had mentioned that.
I guess I'd like to try, get it figured out before springtime.
Yeah. Well, if you want Kim to put it on the agenda for next month, we can.
Let's plan on doing that.
I will do that.
Cause once a year, this would be like this meeting or the next meeting would be when we typically voted on like vice chair. And
Yeah,
we have Kim's secretary now, so we don't have to vote on that anymore.
yeah, so for February,
So let's plan on that. Let's see, what would the date be in February?
On the 8th. It actually came early.
um,
I will not be here on the 8th.
if you want, Kim does the newsletter now. We can put, like we've done before, put something in the newsletter advertising that we have, how many, I got to check how many vacancies we have, not. You have 7 spots, and right now I think you have 5 people,
Yeah.
so 2 vacancies.
And it's a quorum of 3, no matter. How many we
Right,
have.
because when the town board updated the committee language in the code. They made it so that it was only 3 since. No, it's hard to always fill it.
Yeah, maybe in the next newsletter, if you want, do you want any help from me putting something together for?
If you wanna write something, that would be great.
See, I think you just sent out an email the other day of when the stuff is due, right? Or is that for
26th.
26 something?
You have 2 weeks.
And Kim, I can give you the details, like how many years the term is and
Okay,
stuff like that. That's probably the only detail it's a volunteer position.
So do you have more?
I think. And then maybe the February agenda would be good, because since you did have so many referrals tonight, to talk about. Plan for the year. I know you guys were already talking about an event, so maybe if that's. What you want to focus on this year, or if there's anything else, and then. We haven't been very good up in the last couple of years about going through the ag plan. Probably. Should go back through and just kind of see where you're at. I can,
But yeah, because a lot of it we have done, a lot of it I think is ongoing, so it's never gonna be
So-
really checked off.
I mean, I think you've gotten to that point where some of them are like that now. And there
I
might,
was gonna try to make another push to get into the schools, or just keep waiting for one on the farm and
I'll give you a little
Oh, no.
update on something that I personally got involved with in the schools. My son came home one day and started telling me about how bad farmers were and how they were polluting the world. So I asked him where this was coming from. He said, well, our science classes, they were telling us this. So I contacted the teacher in a nice way, just that I was concerned and was wondering what they were learning. So she sent the lesson plan home. It was a new lesson plan. I didn't realize this, but schools buy their curriculums from companies that sell curriculums.
no, I didn't know that either.
So it was a new curriculum they were using this year. And I read through it and it was, well, the information wasn't all false, but it was very one-sided and didn't have anything about what farmers do to help protect the environment. So I let her know that, and then it ended up getting down to the principal, who called me. And he said he read it And he totally agreed with me that it was not what they should be teaching, and he wanted me to come into the school to meet with the representative of the company that sells the curriculums
Oh, that's bull.
to talk to him about what changes I thought should be made. And so the principal was very enthusiastic about more ag education in schools.
Well, that's good.
So I threw out the idea of what about an ag program in the schools, which is a kind of a far-fetched idea maybe, but it was a good time to ask him because he was enthusiastic about it. So I have a meeting with him at the end of the month. I have some help from an ag teacher that I know has helped start probably 35 programs in schools in New York. So she's gonna join us at the meeting as well, so.
Great.
Nice, very
Hey,
nice.
So hopefully-
hey, Bob, to piggyback off what you just said there, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I've been meaning to do for quite a while now. I've actually given presentations in the high school, Canandaigua High School, several years now. And one of the big topics I go over is what farmers can do to not only limit their impact on the environment, but also be a benefit to the environment too. All the things that farmers can do now and what we can work to do in the future to actually have a positive effect on the environment, because their curriculum most certainly is one-sided, and the curriculum also doesn't take into consideration what farmers can do in the future to improve. So it's very easy to believe misconceptions as a student if you're not from a farm background. So I've given pretty detailed presentations in an environmental class for a few years now, and I've been trying to expand that presentation and get into more classrooms to a bigger audience. I haven't gotten to a bigger audience yet, so I'm very glad you brought that up because
Well, that's really good that you're doing that. And so the other issue I had with this was I think the age group they were using, it wasn't really appropriate because it was a case study, which for high school kids that would probably be fine because they understand the case study is one area. It doesn't mean it's like that around the whole country, but when you're doing it for fifth graders, they get the impression that that's normal, it's everywhere. So
Exactly.
the principal was very supportive and enthusiastic, so I think that's a good sign that
Yeah.
hopefully we'll make some improvement with getting some more education in the schools.
They should hire you as a consultant. I'm sure the school is.
The curriculum developer.
I was gonna
Yes.
say, yeah,
Yeah.
that company.
Well, they don't want to hire him because he's a farmer. Now, obviously, if they're on the other side of farming.
It's based out of California. so-
Yeah,
Of course, of course.
That's the first problem.
So,
Like, here's another big point. Like, for example, typically when a farmer does a certain practice to help the environment, it actually in turn helps the farmer too. Like, for example, responsible manure and fertilizer application. Well, of course, we don't want the fertilizer and manure to end up in a body of water, because for one, that would pollute the body of water. And secondly, if you have any of your manure or your fertilizer coming off the field, that means it's not in the field to do its job to grow my crop, which is what is the livelihood of the farm, is to produce the agricultural products. That's how you make a living. Of course, I don't want my fertilizer and manure to leave the farm. So that's another thing, is a lot of students today don't have the perspective of that and of the farmer. When we help the environment, not only do we help the environment, but we also help ourselves. And that is a point I've been really trying to drive home.
yeah, and I think some of these people putting the lessons together, the teachers some of them aren't doing it in any kind of malicious way. They're just uneducated and they need people from agriculture to help educate them.
Agreed.
Because there can be problems and there are risks, but we try to mitigate it as much as possible and do things to prevent it. So that's just a little update that I had.
And we all need to eat. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, none of them are giving alternative solutions.
Yeah.
So,
Another thing I could say is, farming as it is right now isn't perfect, but however, there's a lot of research that has shown what we can continue to improve on, and there's a lot of potential for agriculture to truly become sustainable in the future. Most of the industry knows what we have to do to really become sustainable, and it's a realistic goal to achieve. And in order to do that, we need support. If people think we're villains and don't want to support us, then we'll never be truly environmentally friendly because we won't have support. Like for example, if people think you're going to help the environment by consuming less milk, that's backwards. What you need to do is you need to support the farmer, because the extra income the farmer gets, typically we invest in the farm to become better. So like there was a mentality several years ago that came out that you need to drink less milk to help the environment. And I argue that's completely backwards. You need to support the farmer so that we make our operations better.
So with all of that said, here we have, some changes going on in the town board and leadership. Perhaps, David, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and get some direction from the town supervisor, the town board, on what you would like to see happen with agriculture in the town of Canandaigua. And is it supported by the ag plan that we currently have in place?
Yes, I mean, I can do that for sure. I mean, the town board universally is very supportive of agriculture in the town of Canandaigua. I mean, I just ran on, for reelection. My thing was we want to keep it the way it is. We want to support agriculture. We want to have these nice open spaces with development in specific areas that are not,
Sure.
agricultural based. But
Yep.
but I think we as the town board could do more to support, this committee and agricultural in general, just by looking at the school. I mean, we have nothing to do with the schools, but we should work collaboratively with schools and other agencies to support agriculture. I mean, it's a big part of not only our economy, but our way of life.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'd love to see the town supervisor come in here and spend, I don't know, what do you guys think? I don't want to stick my neck too far out.
So I think the first thing, what I need to do is dust off the ag plan, because I really haven't looked at it. So I mean, it's online, right? I mean, so I'll go online.
maybe time to
extra copy too, if you want.
maybe time to redo some of it. I mean, it's been quite a while now.
Yeah, it's time for this committee to look at it as well. I mean, maybe it's an opportunity to do all this, but dust it off. But I think to just, percolate it up to the town board is not a bad idea. So, and part of that is going to be that the town board is going to 2 meetings a month, and at one of those 2 meetings, all committees are going to report, I think, twice a year. So someone from the ag committee will come in front of the town board and report to the town board on kind of what this committee needs, the direction this committee wants to go, how they're in line with the agricultural plan. The trials and tribulations, stories like that are terrible,
With a good ending.
Well, they're
with a good
now.
ending. Well,
It
potentially
turned out
good
to
ending.
be beneficial.
But the other thing, like, if my son didn't say anything, I wouldn't have known, because they don't send like anything home from school anymore. I never see anything. I had to ask for the teacher to send it home.
Yeah.
Maybe my
Yeah, 'cause
kids-
it's all done on the Chromebook, so
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
bringing books and papers
Maybe
home,
my
so to
kids are
speak.
just stashing stuff away too. I don't know.
I'd like to see is what's in the library, at all different levels of the education for our public schools. Is there anything about agriculture in the libraries? I mean,
Lots of books on the Titanic, because my son brings those home all the time.
But I think Bob's on the right course. I think you have to take control of that, or we have to take control of that. I mean, if we as a committee, agricultural committee, can go in and do some education from that standpoint, that's a good thing. You know what I mean? And because these curriculums that they buy are, just cookie cutter stuff that somebody's written and, gets paid a lot of money on for every school district that takes it over.
Yeah, that don't know anything at all about what. they're
Right,
talking
about agriculture, right.
They're not subject matter.
Or it's really not
experts.
agricultural, I don't know how much dairy farming there is in the state of California, but I'm guessing not as
It
much,
used to be the top dairy state, but it's
way off
pretty
now,
stuck now.
yeah.
And that has been a goal of us for a while, this committee, to get into the school. We haven't been successful in getting it. I mean, you were more successful just with this.
Well, I think that's what
with
it
this route
takes.
than we
It
have tried.
takes everybody, I think just all of us probably run into situations where we can on our own occasionally do something just a little bit by.
But
get
it
into something.
might be better to be proactive versus reactive, so get the committee together to get some kind of our own curriculum. This is what farming means to our community, and then, take that out, because every school is gonna do that, maybe some kind of, field trips to farms. I don't know how many field trips they do anymore, but they do some.
Yeah, that's tough too. I know the thing we did talk about at one point was using some of our budget to supplement. Busing for field trips, cause
Yeah.
that's their money is. usually
Money's the
made-
deal, right, yeah, but and maybe somehow we can get involved with that, I don't know, we're not full of money anywhere, but if we could work something out, like. They bus all those kids to the Granger Homestead for Civil War days, they somehow seem to be
Yeah.
successful with that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how far we can get after meeting with the. School, so I'll keep everybody informed and see what we can do.
Well, I
Interested
mean,
to hear how
the
that
family
goes.
farm days or whatever that,
On the
that
farm.
can't fund on the farm, that can't be any more successful, that's crazy. But you only impact people from all over, we want to impact the school.
That is this fall, not at our farm again.
Right.
I don't want to do that again for.
Where's
quite a
it
while.
Hemdale,
Hemdale and
Okay.
South Castle.
520.
So,
Do they still come to your farm on a field trip for third
Second
grade,
graders.
second grade?
yeah, they've done that for a long time, other than during COVID.
And there's been a lot of comments made about the school age, the students who really need to get on the farm are is high schoolers, because high school age is a critical time when people are really developing as people, as young adults, and especially they're developing their perspective on the world and their opinions. So I would think that's who we really need to see out on farm field trips more often, is high schoolers.
It's really interesting. There are so many barriers to starting a farm. The funding that's available for equipment, the funding, for land, to purchase land or to lease land. It's really some really high capital type of investments that, high school kids don't have access to. How do you
There's-
address something like that?
But there's so many opportunities of farms that have no succession plan. That people can get involved in an established operation.
Yeah, I don't think that the intention of going to the high school is to get them all to wanna be farmers, but they respect farming.
Right, to understand what it means,
There's so many jobs along with farming. Somebody could have some interest in agriculture and become a welder or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different stuff.
I just think there's a basic, people don't understand that those combines that are driving down the road are $1 million, you know what I mean? And the head on them is $250,000, so people don't know that, they have no idea of that, so I think that amount of education, that's why Fun on the Farm sometimes is a really good thing. But I think you're right, I think you have to get the schools to kind of impact them to make that population understand they're not doing negative things, they're doing positive things for the environment, so.
So that's the message, is that farms are positive
Right.
for the environment, but also, like
For
I
our
mentioned
economy.
for
Right,
the
You
economy.
gotta eat.
We
right,
gotta
you gotta
eat.
eat, at the end of the day, that's the best one, you gotta eat. So maybe we,
What's interesting too is that, you go out west, their water table is, almost depleted. So they can't necessarily grow, fruits and vegetables out in the Central Valley of California any longer without diverting huge amounts of water from the Colorado River. I mean, we have so many ample resources that are necessary in order to have agriculture produce
Well,
really great products.
And our number one resource is water.
Yeah,
This
I
is a
mean,
pretty good part of the country to be in.
right.
Yeah, you take a look at the land. I mean, it's like, my gosh, this dark black soil is just absolutely gorgeous compared to some of the sandy, loam that they've got out in the west.
So I think, I mean, to get back to what we're talking about, I think this committee should try to get to the town board, a representative sometime, just to. And I know the meetings are long and boring, but you can come, give your report and get out. It's that, I mean, they're painful, some of these meetings, but I said the same things to Parks. If the town board doesn't know what you're doing, they don't know what you're doing, they don't care. You know what I mean? I try to go to a lot of these meetings because you find out really what's going on, but most of the town board has no idea what's going on.
But didn't you just say that the town board wants to support us?
Well, they verbally say, yes, oh, we love agriculture. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean? I mean, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean?
That's the question that I have. It's
Right.
like, okay, I've been coming to these meetings since it originated back in 2016. And I've seen Pam Helming come here maybe twice. And Doug Finch showed up a few times, several times. Actually, Doug
At
was
the
here
beginning,
quite
he was.
often.
He used to come to every meeting.
Yeah, he was here often, very supportive.
But I think you have to raise your own flag. You know what I mean? If Mohammed's not gonna come to you, go to them. You know what I mean? So if you give a report, if someone from this committee just gives a 30-second report, then it's entered into the minutes. The concern is there. There'll be some amount of discussion about the town board about what's positives happening and directions to go. So I think you have to blow your own horn. I think that's really what it is. I mean, and
Yeah, the town board has so much to worry about if you don't
right,
bring attention to yourself. they're gonna
right.
Pay attention to
Like
something.
like everyone has their little hot spots. I mean, I'm very supportive of agriculture, but I'm 1 of 5 votes, when things come up. But I mean, I think they want to be they want to be as supportive as they can to agriculture, and I think for the most part, the town board has a good, solid foundation with agriculture. There's a good, some, not everyone, but the majority of the board, I would say.
Well, it's in all the adopted plans.
Right.
So the town has a record of being
Right.
supported.
But I just like to see that level get raised up. So if you need some money to go to the schools to do XYZ, and the town board is aware of that, it's like, let's budget for that. That's good for the town. It's good for agriculture. It's good for the residents. So.
Mhm. Well, at one point, I think that, for the first 2 years, we worked on putting together the ag plan,
Mhm.
which was really, quite fulfilling. And then, since then, our focus has been on education and in various different levels. And we've done quite a bit of things. We've supported bringing the second graders out to your farm. We've supported programs at the county fair. So we've done a lot of those things.
I still think that we haven't really hit the big boom in the county fair. We haven't found, other than the corn, we haven't found something that really attracts people and lets us expose things. And it has to be something, I don't think that we can create it. I think that we need to find something that is created that we can bring. Because I don't think we have the
Steal a great
resources.
idea from someone else.
We don't
Yeah.
have the
Bigger
resources to
corn.
create
Right,
our own.
right,
But
right.
if we can find someone that has a cool display, a cool video that can be just running without us having to manage it, because that has been the problem lately is
Oh, yeah.
we get 4 hours when there's no traffic in the fair. Let's just be honest.
Right.
The time that the fair gives us is 4 hours.
It's done before, yeah, there's a lot of effort going into it on the front end and setting up and doing it, and then the majority of the people who come already know this. They've
Yeah.
been to the meetings before, they're related
they're
to the
supportive
town
of
somehow
agriculture, right, yeah.
already.
So we need to find a display
So-
that can be there in the evenings, running by itself. And yeah, we won't create it, but we just need to keep bringing ideas, because that's what we can go to the town and say, hey, we need to rent this from this group
Right,
or buy
right.
this from this group so that it can be exposed in there without. And I don't know what the right, I mean, I have seen different things. I don't know who's creating them, but those are the type of things that I need to get a
Well,
little
when you
bit more.
see those, take a picture of them or find out
Yeah.
who creates
Who
that stuff,
creates it,
because
yeah.
maybe we can rent something and do, you know what I mean, just to kind of, I mean, because
Mhm.
you're probably around more than anybody in terms of all the different areas and see different things. I mean, if we could find something that would just raise the level of awareness to agriculture, that, you know, it's a shiny something that.
Well, it
kids would
it
like.
was to purchase the development rights from the farmers, you know, so that they didn't, you know, sell their land to, you know, housing development. You know, developers. That was the big shiny thing that was offered for, you know, a few years after the ag plan was put together.
It's still
And-
offered, actually, the program's open right now.
So,
Do
and
we have any?
I mean, we got
I think
multiple
that might be
applications.
interesting.
The trouble is, I mean, who's gonna do it?
To,
The application to the state. That's what I'm struggling with right now is the program's open. The program looks a lot different than it used to. It's a lot harder to meet those sort of requirements that the state has now. They've got different categories and there's higher requirements for the prime soil content and stuff like that. So it's a little more difficult than it used to be, but at the end of the day, even if we have the perfect parcel, we don't have someone to do the application anymore. Cause I'm not in that job anymore and there's nobody in it.
we gotta find someone.
Yep.
We gotta find someone.
And
We got a few openings.
We would have like 10, 12 applications and we'd have to grade them and choose the ones that were most likely to, you know, get processed, you know, to get through all the hoops. And then we also had the land, you know,
The land trust, yeah,
land trust
I'm
would go ahead
not
and
sure
help
if they've
support
got
us.
any open ones. The program's different now. It doesn't have a due date, like a set due date, and then they review everybody. It's just rolling until the money runs out.
How much money is that?
I don't remember. It opened last year. And I don't think that process would be the same anymore because the very first thing we would need to do, well, what I used to do, so somebody would need to do is, if there's, you know, a farm or a parcel in questions, find out, does it even meet the minimum criteria? Cause it's pretty,
Well, that would be an
It's pretty
interesting
clear.
story unto itself. Don't you think? To go ahead and say, here are the changes. You know, to the purchase of development rights program, you know, these are the requirements. You know, the fact that it's open and continuously rolling until the money runs out.
That might be a good newsletter.
I mean, that is a good article for sure.
Cause you don't know who's out there. Do they pay by the acre?
Pay the
No.
difference per acre of agricultural value versus.
Development
So-
value.
It's not-
Set value.
per acre, it's so, you know, if you have a parcel that today to a developer might be worth $1 million. And then if all of those rights to develop were removed, what would that parcel be worth? You have to have an appraiser come in and tell you what it's worth. They say, oh, would only be worth $500,000. The difference is $500,000, right? And what the state does is they pay 75% of that difference to the farmer. The town pays a portion of that and has typically put in $50 per acre. That's the town's portion of
In
that.
addition to what the state made.
It's part of the overall cost of the program if they're awarded by the state.
Well, the price of farmland has gone sky high. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, but how much of that is because they're competing against development.
But that would be the program that would pay the difference, if, you know, if you're gonna keep people farming. And,
Well, that's the intent, right?
right,
So
right,
the state gives them money, that's the payback. That's the incentive to put an easement on it that prevents development,
Mhm.
non-farm
But
development.
right now, we see it at $10,000 an acre because people are farming it to develop.
Right,
Yeah, it
If they
would.
couldn't develop
And
it,
it's
they
not
wouldn't be
worth
paying
that much
that
once you
much.
can't develop it
Yeah.
anymore. And I mean, that's why.
Yeah, but
but there's
the point
several
is-
farms that sold all around me. For between $9,000 and $10,000 an acre, and they're farming, there's no development at all, so.
Yeah, but
They can't
but
develop.
they had to pay that so that a developer wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, well, yes, I mean, it's, some of that's unique situations where somebody has a lot of money and doesn't want development around them, so they're doing their own.
That's another way to do it.
easement.
Buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
But those, what I'm saying is, the price of farmland has gone pretty significant, I mean, it's gone up significantly. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, it would certainly support a succession program for, you know, the farmers to be able to stay in practice. And you know, one of the farmers, well, Charlie Miller leases both of our lands.
Mhm.
He had to give up his dairy because he couldn't find anybody to come in to actually run the dairy.
Well, there's a little more to that story.
Okay. So, but I know that who his milkmaid was, she,
Yeah,
never mind.
he didn't want to get into, he didn't want to join the co-op, so in order to. Stay afloat, right, you have to join the co-op, he did not want somebody to tell him what to do. That's why with the, you know,
But he's gotta be in his, you know, his late 70s by now, so. And I,
78,
so I know that Donnie is
younger,
part of the succession
Yeah.
program, and he follows Charlie's lead, that's for sure.
So this
Um,
committee helped organize a workshop on succession planning years ago. Do you remember that? I don't remember
It was right after.
I do.
Yeah,
what the agency was that came in, but they came in one evening or a
They were from
Saturday or
Buffalo.
something and talked about how farms can plan and how to start a succession program at your
Some
farm.
of the
stuff like
cooperative
that.
extensions in other counties do that.
Yeah,
I've seen them, I think it might be Livingston.
So, I mean, these are really interesting topics. I know that it's already 10 after 7. But, you know, there's a lot
there
to
is.
be done. And, you know, we can continue with a lot of this information.
And the other thing that we could do, thinking about the schools and how you access this or not. We are too small to be the ones that carry the world, but we can just start it. So what if we were to ignite 4-Hers with some incentive to go promote things in the school where they are? Where we just sponsor them to be the advocates in their own schools.
Mhm.
Because we don't know everything they're teaching, but they are hearing it. So how can we? I mean, I'm just thinking of ideas of how to understand what they're being taught. And if the 4-Hers can come up with, this is what they taught me, this is where I believe is missing information, and this is what I'm gonna present back, and the winner gets something, and we just sponsor a competition that way, then we can understand more about what they are teaching, and they
Mhm.
themselves start bringing to their peers
Yeah.
that information back.
So you're looking for momentum, but we need a champion to go ahead and bring that flywheel into place so that it can be spun. And I don't see any champions.
Well,
within
we need a
school program.
structure, there has to be our own counter curriculum, if
Mm-hmm.
you will, you know, that you could go out with. And in the old days, it was the FFA, you know, I mean, that they would kind of represent farmers in the scholastic setting, but that's all gone.
And
Well,
FFA is still
there-
strong in other counties.
There has
Yeah,
been,
not here, right?
there has been more and more schools putting programs like that back into place, so
Mhm.
let's see what happens.
Well, I know that the county fairs in July, at the height of the farming season, so to have a curriculum, a farming curriculum, you know, like we're talking about at the county fairs, probably not the right time of year, but you know, something like that could be offered, doesn't have to happen, you know, in the school, within the school system. It could be, you know, a program that's offered to the community and sponsored by the town. Perhaps. What I'm looking for is that champion, and the town really needs to champion it if they really are going to. You know, we can't champion it. We're a volunteer committee
Right.
with, you know, recommendations.
Yeah, but
But it would come from this committee.
the things that we could
Well,
do
it
is,
could.
if
not
FFA is
gonna
not
come from
active
anyone
here, but
else.
we know that it's active other places.
How do we
What
get
can
it?
we do to bring
Right.
it here?
Right, how do we get it here? Right.
How can we intervene so that we get a chapter?
You would guess that Wyoming County and Livingston County, somewhere where there's a lot of farms. They must have FFAs in their school.
The one I know is pretty active is up north by Watertown.
Oh,
That's the
sure,
one that-
yeah.
That
Marcus Whitman has a pretty good FFA
Yeah.
program.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too, Tim.
And believe it or not, I believe BOCES, the BOCES in Stanley, I think has an FFA program. So if anybody goes to vocational school, they can, let's say their own school doesn't have FFA, I think they can go to BOCES and be a part of FFA. At least that was my understanding. I don't know if that program is still there.
Well, that
Right
was
now.
my understanding 50 years ago as well. And, you know, they had programs for automobile mechanics, for welding, for drafting, you know, all of these, you know, plumbing, electricity. That's what, you know, BOCES was all about. back
Well,
then.
the
I don't know if that's
woman that I
still-
said is gonna be involved in this meeting with the school, she's an FFA teacher and she's done stuff nationally for FFA, so. That's
Maybe we
gonna,
can pick her brain.
that's gonna be a good start.
Yeah.
And I'll bring that information back here so that we can. Try to, anything we need from the committee or the town board.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, if we determine the needs, I can go pitch it up to the board to say, we need this support to bring FFA or to
Right.
promote FFA.
Right,
And
I mean, even if we got this woman in to come back in and do a lecture, you know, to do some kind of workshop or something, I mean, it would be whatever she charges, you know, that'd be a good sponsorship for the town.
Yeah, no,
And the committee, actually.
She spends a lot of time going around the state, I think just on her own, like similar situations, going to talk to school boards. And I've been told that if she gets involved, there's usually a program at some point at the school.
Well, that's
She's-
good.
Right.
That's
She
good.
doesn't let up, she's pretty tough. So,
So how, once you get the
Good.
program though, how do you find the kids who wanna join it? Cause if you got a
That-
great
that's
program,
what I asked her and she's been successful at getting that to happen somehow.
cause you know, it's about getting the kids excited.
Yeah.
To want to.
Cause
come
I
and
think a lot of
join.
it's not, they don't try to sell it as trying to get everybody, I think somebody said it earlier, it's not trying to get them all to be farmers.
Right.
There's so many other things, so.
Right.
And yeah, exactly. Even if these students don't become farmers, or even if they don't become workers in the other part of the agricultural field, just plain getting them to understand and respect agriculture and to support us is wonderful. And important. Didn't mean to cut you off, Bob, but I thought I was driving your point home.
Yeah,
Talking about driving home.
Good conversation, yeah, I think we had a lot of good conversation and
I won't be here in February, but and we have to do's, and I think revisiting the plan, we're gonna be going back to education. That's the most.
Yeah.
That's the most influential thing we can do, so if I had to go advocate to pay her. So she can stay and make plans in the area, we can go that way. If we have to advocate to bring FFA, and what do we have to do to make it happen, those are the type of things where I think.
you guys have a budget every year.
yeah, I think we don't usually use it.
No,
It's a couple
you
thousand
often don't.
bucks.
$1,500.
So every year I have to fight for you guys to keep your budget. They're gonna
We have
use
to start
this year.
spending some money.
Sounds like we can now.
Does it roll over?
Nope.
No, it's not accruing somewhere. Trust me.
It gets used up elsewhere.
You know,
or
one of
not.
these years, I'm gonna get an eraser and erase the 2022 goals.
The eraser's right
on
there.
that
It's just sitting
whiteboard.
behind that thing. So
Probably
no one
won't
ever
wipe
looks
off of
at
there
it.
anymore.
We're like 2 years behind then.
Can't get it to load, but I can find out what your budget is this
Okay.
year.
I think it might be $1,500 if I'm off the top of my head.
I mean, we did this back in July of last
Yeah.
year. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
All right. Thank you, everyone. See some of you next month.
Bye, Tim.
Hello there.
Tim?
Have a good night.
Thank you all. Thank you
See you
guys.
later.